Study techniques. If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. Is your study technique working for you? The study techniques used in this video do not need any extensive material or technology. Research has shown that the type of study technique that you use depends on your age, prior knowledge, ability, and the type of person you are. According to the Honey-Mumford model, we get four types of learners. Firstly, we get activists who learn by doing, reflectors who learn by observation, theorists who learn by making connections between the observations and the information they have learned, and pragmatists who learn by making new ideas. What is a study technique, and how do study techniques differ from study skills? According to Gettinger and Siebert, studying involves both cognitive activities to facilitate acquisition and retention of information, as well as self-management activities to maintain attention, effort, and time devoted to studying. Study skills are your cognitive activities, whereas study techniques are your self-management activities. While our brain is learning new information, it forms neural pathways, and this is done in 3 steps. First of all, we encode the information when we get a general knowledge of the information. Secondly, we process the information and store it in our memory. And thirdly is retrieval, where we recover the information we have studied.
Okay. All right, cool. So what we have found, according to our research, is that there are 6 most used study techniques, for undergraduates as well as high school students. These study techniques are summarization, highlighting, and underlining. They are keyword mnemonic, imagery for text, rereading, as well as practice testing. Okay, so summarization is basically you just highlighting keywords from a paragraph, for instance, putting it into your own words, just in little bullets, and that's basically it. Okay, great thing about summarization, I guess everyone can do it, but it is very difficult for those who don't really know how to summarize something. Therefore, there needs to be some sort of class given by a teacher so that they can become skilled in this as well. All right, so highlighting and underlining basics. Also, just like summarization, you just highlight or underline the most important words that you find that are very important in the paragraph. A great example of highlighting the most important things is something like this. Okay? And a very horrible way, which most people do, it's very much like this. This is where you basically highlight everything. So you end up over highlighting what you should have actually highlighted. Okay. So there's keyword mnemonic, which is a very interesting one as well. So keyword mnemonic is usually you using keywords or different words in order to understand a word that you're trying to learn. For example, in French, we have la dent, which means tooth. So for you to remember that word, you could remember a dentist, holding pliers or something like that. And therefore, you remember a dentist, la dent, which goes with dentist, dent, dentist. So you remember a tooth. And another example is mourir, which is also French. That means death or to die. So mourir can go with mortuary. So you remember mortuary, you remember the word mourir, which is a very good example because a lot of students who have studied in this way, I would say, well, for me personally as well, you get good grades for that because then you can remember and relate it to whatever you studied before. And therefore, hey, let's excel. Alrighty, so the next one is imagery for text. This is more complex. So this is when a teacher gives you like a certain paragraph or gives you a comprehension. So you need to imagine a picture of that paragraph in order where it is exactly. It's a very complex one and it needs a lot of techniques in it. It needs a lot of skills. It needs a lot of studying in it. So this is one problem that we have with students, or one problem that the researchers have found with students, that teachers need to actually implement the study. So yeah. So in terms of rereading, which is one that can be done by anyone and everyone. So basically rereading is just you reading a text over and over again. So you reread a text after initial reading, but the main thing that you need to remember is that you cannot reread something right after you've read it. So you need time to delay before you can actually go back to that reading. Otherwise, it just goes on and on in your head and you will end up forgetting everything. Okay. So practice testing, which is the last one. This is basically you just studying material and then after that material that you've studied, you just come up with a test for yourself. This test can be fill in the blanks, it could be multiple choice questions if you'd like that. So you just test yourself in order to see how far you are. This really helps and it improves the student performance very well. Okay, so those are the 6 techniques. I would say that only one of them is a big problem, where the rest are not really a huge problem, like keyword mnemonic, where people can't really find specific amounts of words for everything. So that's the one problem that people would have, as well as, summarization for people who don't know how to summarize anything. They would need extra lessons for that. So that's it.
Hi guys, today we'll be conducting interviews with various Rhodes University undergrad students to see which study techniques they use. And the aim of this investigation is to find out which study techniques are commonly used by the students that are viewed to be working effectively.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
So what study methods do you use?
So I do repetition. So I don't write notes or anything. I feel like it doesn't work. So I read out loud and I repeat and repeat until I feel like it's in my head.
Okay. So how long would you say you study for?
Oh, depending on my subject, but usually the night before I procrastinate and I'm so bad. So I do cramming until early hours the next morning.
You know that's a bad thing.
I know it's very bad, but it works.
Okay, so do your study techniques differ from subject to subject?
Definitely, yeah. So if it's like parrot learning, I'll do it the night before, but let's say I'm doing chemistry for first year, I would have to do it a few days, so because it includes practice.
Okay, thank you so much.
Alright.
Thank you.
In order to get a broader view on students, a survey was the best way to do this. To construct the survey, I had to think of questions that would give me a basic idea of how the student works and thinks when it comes to studying. These questions included where they study, what time, for how long, what techniques were used, if they thought their current studying technique worked, if they applied new techniques, what didn't work for them in the past, if the study methods change for different subjects, what mindset they associated with, and how they viewed learning something new. From the feedback I got, I found that a lot of students selected similar answers, showing that the majority of students learned in a similar way.
Ways to improve your study techniques by using the CREAM strategy.